In today's video, we've got confirmation about a highly anticipated JRPG coming over to the States. The game has been announced for a little bit, but now we've got the official word that the game will be localized in a multitude of different languages. We also have some gameplay details on Metro Exodus and its deep weapon and gear customization options. Middle-earth Shadow of War just got a new update, and that is out today. A new PlayStation 4 action RPG has its release date confirmed, and the Division 2 producer explains the move to Washington, D.C. More on that in a little bit. First, let's talk about a highly anticipated PlayStation 4 JRPG that a lot of gamers were worried on whether or not this game would be coming stateside, but it looks like Granblue Fantasy Project Relink will be localized into English, French, Italian, German, and Spanish as publisher Cygames confirmed to Gamatsu. Now, outside of that, we don't have much more information about a timeline. This game was actually originally scheduled to release in 2018 in Japan, however, that probably won't be happening. This game is actually getting its next major update and reveal sometime in December during the aptly named Granblue Fantasy Festival 2018, which will run from December 15th to December 16th. This is one JRPG that quickly captivated every gamer. Maybe it's because of the incredible art direction, the great music, maybe it's all of those things together, but even if you're not a big fan of Japanese games, it's hard to look at Granblue Fantasy Project Relink and not be pleased with how this game is shaping up. This is yet another major PlayStation 4 exclusive, and it's another one of those Japanese exclusives that really round out the PS4's already great library. Yes, it has a great core lineup of exclusives. These Japanese exclusives are what really add a lot more depth to the PS4's library. Games like Yakuza and games like Persona 5, and of course the upcoming Granblue Fantasy Project Relink. Now, I hope this will be a 2019 release over here in the States as well, but honestly, I do foresee this being a game that's released in 2020, and this is the kind of game where it doesn't really matter if the PlayStation 5 is out at that point, or even if the PS5 is announced. We see this with Japanese publishers all the time. They just release their games on the platform they deem best fit to see those games be released on. We saw the PlayStation 3 after the PS4's release get a lot of Japanese games. The PlayStation Vita is still getting a lot of Japanese games, so in terms of a platform's notoriety, that doesn't come into play as much in terms of releasing a Japanese game, but great to see that Granblue Fantasy Project Relink will be coming stateside at some point, probably not for a while. A game that is coming somewhat soon, Metro Exodus, is set for release next year in February, and now we've got an insight on some of the gameplay mechanics of the game. Speaking with Gaming Bolt, Hugh Benoit, head of general brand management at Metro publisher Deep Silver, talked about the game itself, and here's what he said. Quote, "I'm not gonna pretend that we are a deep RPG. We obviously have a really rich weapon customization system. You discover new parts for weapons and scavenge full weapon and strip them for parts. You can then customize base weapons, so you have hundreds of different permutations there. We've also added other aspects of your character that you can upgrade. In previous games we offered to this time around we will give you the ability to customize the gear that you're wearing, like getting upgrades for your helmet." Metro Exodus is one of my most anticipated games of 2019, but it seems like that anticipation isn't really there for everyone. Maybe that's because we still have this huge wave of fall games to get through, and maybe it's also because not everyone played Metro 2033 and Metro Last Light, and if you didn't, I really would recommend you go check out the Metro Redo Collection, because Metro 2033 and Metro Last Light are both fantastic single-player first-person shooters. They've got great stories, they're very atmospheric, great visuals, and it's not like they're a gigantic investment in terms of time to complete the game. Metro Exodus does look to be more of an open experience compared to Metro 2033 and Metro Last Light, so that is kind of interesting. They have specified it isn't a full-blown open-world title, but this is going to be another game that is going to be one of the defining games of 2019, and guess what? It is releasing on February 22nd, which is one of the most stacked days of game releases I think ever. That day will see the release of Metro Exodus, Days Gone, as well as the highly anticipated EA title Anthem. So I've been saying for a lot of games to move away from the fall release and get their release in early 2019. Well, with days like February 22nd, the competition is still very much gonna be there, but I'm sure Metro Exodus will do good enough.
With the ability to modify weapons in the field, players can customize their setup depending on the situation at hand. The flexible Kalash can quickly transform from long-range to close-quarters configuration, and with the right upgrades, the basic 3-shot revolver can be turned into a silenced, 6-chambered, and deadly accurate handgun. Crouching and sticking to the shadows will reduce your chances of being discovered by enemies. The blue stealth indicator on your wrist will glow when you're at risk of being seen. Interacting with the environment around you is also key. Extinguishing torches and creating a distraction by throwing tin cans to confuse enemies as to your whereabouts, allowing you to get close and execute a silent kill.
Next up, we have a new Middle-earth Shadow of War update, the one update to rule them all. There's a post over on the PlayStation blog that goes over some of the improvements, and Michael D. Platter, Vice President Creative of Monolith Productions, said that these are the improvements that they are most excited about coming out of this update. Free Reign that has completely removed the market and microtransactions from Shadows of War. Now you have Garrison, where orcs you recruit through online vendettas and ranked conquests will be stored, and you can now spend in-game Mirian to train, upgrade, and customize your personal orc army. The inclusion of the Shadow Wars, the post-campaign epilogue, has been massively streamlined and polished to include new narration from Shalab the Witch King and Dark Talion. Victory in the epilogue grants you rewards, unlocks powerful new abilities to raise the dead, summon more powerful monsters, or curse your enemies. And if you want to keep upgrading and defending your fortress and your army in Mordor, you can do so after the final credits roll. There's said to be more power given to the players, new skins, and nemesis improvements. So if you stop playing Middle-earth Shadow of War for a little bit and you want to revisit the game, now is a pretty good time to do so, as it's gotten a pretty significant update. Moving on from that, a game that isn't getting a lot of anticipation headed into the stacked fall lineup of game releases is the action RPG Call of Cthulhu. Being developed by Cyanide Studios and published by Focus Home Interactive, we now have a release date on this action RPG, at least according to Steam, and it'll be coming on October 30th. The game is set in 1924. Private investigator Pierce is sent to look into the tragic death of the Hawkins family on the isolated Darkwater Island. Soon enough, Pierce is pulled into a terrifying world of conspiracies, cultists, and cosmic horrors. Nothing in the game is as it seems. Sanity is an irregular bedfellow, all too often replaced by whisperings in the dark. Strange creatures, weird signs, and sinister cults dominate the Cthulhu mythos, intent on realizing their mad schemes to bring about the end of everything. This looks to be a very mature action RPG, and it could be one of the sleeper hits heading into the fall. It is releasing at kind of a bad time around a lot of the big game releases like Red Dead Redemption 2, Fallout 76. It's kind of stuck right in between there if that October 30th date comes to fruition. But with a smaller title like this, it's going to cater to a niche audience, and hopefully that audience checks out the game.
What do we recommend in this kind of situation, Marcus? Peanut butter song. Yeah, you're making progress, Marcus. But you must keep studying.
And finally, senior producer of The Division 2, Christian Pana, spoke with US Gamer and talked about moving the Division 2 setting, and here's what he said. So we wanted to go from New York City, right? From the narrow streets of Manhattan, we wanted to move to a city that would offer us much more diversity and different opportunities for encounters. We did the research and searched multiple cities. There was only one choice for us, and that was Washington, D.C. That's the seat of power in the US. This is where the Division HQ actually also is. It felt for us very natural to go there, and looking at Washington, D.C. offered this diverse environment, all these biomes that offered us a great opportunity. The Washington Monument is a great example because its wide spaces allow us to create different tactical opportunities for players. He continued by saying, when we made the choice, we worked with architects, special forces, people that are from the city, urban explorers, researchers, and so on to pick where was the best place for us to create this environment, so we ended up with the section of the map that you've seen. Of course, we have some surprises in the post-launch that may extend on that. The Division was one of those games that had a lukewarm reception on launch, but Ubisoft stayed committed to the franchise, franchise, and seemingly it does have a pretty reasonable following, and with The Division 2, there seems to be a pretty reasonable amount of hype for this game as well. The Division 2's release isn't all too far off. It'll be coming on March 15th, 2019.
It's happening at a different entry point than what was shown at the Microsoft conference, am I right?
Exactly.
And so obviously the big reveal was the setting, Washington, D.C., capital city of America. Christian, I want to ask you, what was the reasoning behind that? Can you tell us a bit more?
Yes, absolutely. We were very excited to showcase that yesterday in our reveal and to show more, of course, today. We had multiple options. We investigated multiple options, but for us, Washington...
So that's gonna conclude this video. What do you think? Granblue Fantasy Project Relink has been confirmed to be localized into English, French, Italian, German, and Spanish. Metro Exodus looks to have pretty deep customizability options. Middle-earth: Shadow of War has gotten a new update out today. A new action RPG is coming to the PS4, Call of Cthulhu, and it looks to be released on October 30th. And what do you think about the Division 2 shift in setting? Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.